Thank you all very much. Thanks for coming. Please be seated. First, thanks for the invite.
You're welcome.
Y'all got the best seat in the house. At least you got the best view of me. I really want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank our panelists for being here because we're about to have a discussion on how to make sure every person in America can realize their dreams. That's what we're to talk about. Dreams and how they can be realized. How to make sure the education system works the way every mom and dad, every teacher, every principal, every concerned citizen wants it to work. And this is a perfect place to come and have a discussion about education because Parkersburg South is educating the kids. They're doing a fine job here. Tom, I want to thank you. I've spent a lot of time at schools, and there's always a common denominator in excellent schools, and that is you got a good principal. See, somebody who listens to the teachers, somebody who interfaces with the parents, but somebody who sets high standards, somebody who believes in the best for every child. And I appreciate you taking on a tough job, and I appreciate you doing it well. I want to thank Bill Nide as well as the superintendent here in Wood County. I know something about superintendents, and I know how important they are for education. See, I picked a superintendent of schools to run the Department of Education, the superintendent from Harris County, which is Houston, Texas. I mean, the superintendent is on the front line of education. They're involved with all aspects of local education, and so I picked a man who understands how it works. And the reason I brought a superintendent in from Texas to Washington, because I believe in local control of schools. I want the people at the local level running the schools. I appreciate Barbara Fish from the State Board here in West Virginia for coming. Where are you, Barbara? Thank you for coming. I'm honored you were here. I appreciate what you said. Barbara said to me, I'm going to talk a little bit about No Child Left Behind here in a second. She said, I love the spirit of No Child Left Behind. See, I love the spirit of Barbara, who understands that by setting high standards and measuring and making sure curriculum works and making sure your dollars are well spent, that we can make sure no child is left behind in America. So thank you for your vision and thank you for your care. They're telling me Jimmy Colombo is here, the mayor. Where are you, Mr. Mayor? There you are. I appreciate you coming. Who you got with you? There he is. We'll try to get you a better seat next time, Mayor. But thank you for being here. I'm proud you're here. I really appreciate so many of the citizens of this good city coming out and waving, and it means a lot to me. And Mayor, the fact that you're here means a lot too. Appreciate you serving your community. Just make sure you fill the potholes. I appreciate the Patriots. All the Patriots are here. Thank you for hosting us. I want to congratulate the seniors who are getting ready to graduate. Make sure you don't take the foot off the gas pedal too soon. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely
right. Keep studying until the final bell rings. But good luck to you. Today I had the honor of meeting Heather Stout. She came out to the airport. She's a sophomore at West Virginia University in Parkersburg. I tell you why I mentioned her. Where are you, Heather? She's somewhere. Oh, there you are, right there. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. You know what? The reason I bring her up is she's a tutor. She is a math tutor for fourth grade students. Here's a person going to college who's taken time out of her life to help children learn math. Listen, we talk a lot about the strength of our country, and I'm going to spend a little time talking about the strength of our country, a lot of the strengths of the country, but the true strength of this country is the hearts and souls of the American people. That's the strength of America. The strength of America. We're strong because there are good people willing to teach. We're strong because there's good citizens willing to love a neighbor just like they'd like to be loved themselves. See, there are people who hurt in our country, but that hurt can change as a result of a loving citizen saying, what can I do to help? See, societies change one heart, one soul, one conscience at a time. That's how societies change. And that happens when people like Heather, and I'm sure people here in this crowd, are willing to take a little time to love and spread compassion. The reason I mention Heather is because I want people in this good part of the country to do everything they can to help the lonely, to feed the hungry, to find shelter for those who are looking for a place to stay. Heather, thanks for the example you set. Thanks for having such a good heart, and thanks for following your heart. One of the things that I'm so proud of is the United States military. I am proud. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all. Corporal Ferguson, there he is. Lance Corporal Ferguson, excuse me. He just came back from Iraq. He was one of over 200,000 men and women who have served this nation. And the reason I bring him up, I want to say a couple of things. Thank you. Go ahead and be seated. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for your service. And that's Joe Ellison. Yeah, Lance Corporal Ellison's with him too. I didn't mean to leave you out, but thank you for your service too. Let me say a couple of things that you need to know. First, our men and women are serving in historic times. We have a duty never to forget the lessons of September the 11th, 2001. And then when we see a gathering threat, when we see threats, we can no longer hope they go away. We can't hope for the best. We've got to take action. Now, action doesn't necessarily mean use of military. Action can mean using diplomatic pressure, all kinds of pressures. But the enemy declared war on us. And we must be strong, and we must be diligent, and we must be focused. We must do everything we can to protect our homeland. We've got brave soldiers doing just that. And we're being tested. See? We're being tested because there are people who cannot stand the thought of free societies growing up in a part of the world that is used to hatred and tyranny. We're being tested because there are cold-blooded killers that cannot stand the thought of freedom becoming the norm. And yet we know something here in America. We know the power of free society. See, freedom equals peace. Free societies will be peaceful societies. We also know that freedom is not America's gift to the world. Freedom is the Almighty God's gift to each man and woman in this world. I want these Marines to know that they are serving in historic times. The world is changing for the better. The world will be more free and more peaceful thanks to the United States of America and our military. These are historic times. I'll tell you an interesting story to try to put it in perspective. I was having dinner with Prime Minister Koizumi in Tokyo. Laura was with me, by the way. She's doing a great job, fabulous person. And here I was talking to the Prime Minister of a former enemy. My dad, like many of your relatives, fought in the Pacific in World War II. And here I was talking to the Prime Minister of the country against whom we used to fight, a country that had attacked us. And we're talking about how to keep the peace. We were strategizing about how to make sure the Korean Peninsula is nuclear weapon free. It was a very interesting conversation. First of all, I like the guy a lot. And secondly, it was a positive conversation, an important conversation to help keep the peace. Had we not gotten the peace right after World War II, it might have been that I wouldn't be having the conversation with Prime Minister Koizumi. As well, during the conversation, I thought about what it would be like for a future American president to be talking to a duly elected leader of Iraq, a free Iraq, a peaceful Iraq, and a democratic Iraq, about how to deal with problems future generations will face. Now, these are historic times. We're being tested. People are testing our mettle. And I will not yield to the whims of a few. You're getting your way here. I'm coming your way. Thank you all. I won't yield because I believe so strongly in what we're doing, and I have faith in the power of freedom to spread its wings in parts of the world that desperately need freedom. I want to say one other thing about our troops. Like you, I have been disgraced and about what I've seen on TV, what took place in the prison. But the actions of a few do not reflect on the fantastic character of the over 200,000 men and women who have served our nation. One other thing. Before we talk about education, it is really important for this country to be wise about how we use our natural resources. And I have asked the Congress to pass a national energy policy so we become less dependent on foreign sources of energy. I've asked the Congress to quit playing politics and get a bill out of the United States Senate to my desk that includes the use of clean coal technologies to make sure we are less dependent. I mean, we're seeing what it means to be hooked on foreign sources of energy right now. And like you, I'm unhappy about it. But I got a plan. If we can just get some cooperation so we can make sure we got more supply here at home. That's the way you relieve the pressure from foreign sources. Use what you have in a smart way. And we can do this in this country. We can be wise about how we use our resources so that the people benefit. And you got a lot of coal here. And it's an important part of our country's energy mix. And we can use technologies to make sure that coal does what we want it to do, which is to power electricity so people can have reliable sources of electricity for their homes and their businesses. Now, one of the things we're here to talk about today is how to make sure the workforce is educated. But we better make sure we got an educated energy policy too, so that we can have a workforce that expands. Now, the best way to make sure we got a workforce that's educated is to start early before it's too late. The No Child Left Behind Act changed the attitude about monies being spent out of Washington. Listen, we've increased the budgets out of Washington by 49% since 2001. That is a healthy increase. Two things I want to say about that. First of all, it's not the federal responsibility to fund schools. It's state and local responsibility to fund. You don't want the federal government running the school system here. But we can help. We can help with Title I students. We can help with Reading First programs. There are ways for the federal government to help, and we are. Make no mistake about it. We're increasing the budgets at the federal level. But for the first time, we have said, since we're spending more money, why don't you show us whether or not the children are learning to read, write, and add and subtract? Why don't you use an accountability system to let everybody know that we're succeeding? And that's what's changed. And this high school right here is using the accountability system, and the students at this school are meeting the accountability standards. See, we're setting higher standards. And by the way, if you set low standards, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get lousy results. If you have the attitude that certain children can't learn to read and write and add and subtract, sure enough, certain children won't learn to read and write and add and subtract. So we're raising that bar. We're providing extra money. We're holding people accountable, and we're making sure there's local control of schools. See, the people of Parkersburg can run the schools better than people in Washington, D.C. can. That's for certain. And we're making progress. The reading scores in West Virginia are up. That's really good news. It means the teachers are doing what we expect, and they're working hard, by the way. Being a teacher is a difficult profession, and we need to praise our teachers and thank our teachers. The test scores are up. That must make everybody feel better. It should. And the reason I can say that is because we're measuring. See, if you don't measure, you say, I think the test scores are up. Or maybe the test scores are up. You don't know unless you measure. We're measuring. And the results are good. But let me tell you a statistic that troubles me. 68 of 100 ninth graders nationwide, only 68 will go to college. We ought to have a goal that says every child, every high school student, finishes high school and is capable of finding a job or capable of going on to college. That ought to be the goal. And so what we're going to talk about today is not how to make sure elementary school children can read, but to make sure that the high school programs raise the bar, intervene when necessary, make sure that money is spent wisely so that we're educating children that have got the capacity to take over the jobs of the 21st century. And there's some practical things we can do. First, there needs to be intervention programs for junior high and high school kids who have been shuffled through without the capacity to read. And we got a program called Striving Readers Initiative, which is an intervention program based on a curriculum designed out of the University of Kansas, by the way, and it works. And I would urge the good folks of the planners here in West Virginia to access the federal monies that I'm asking Congress to spend on making sure that at the very minimum a kid has got the capacity to read before they get out of high school. See, if you can't read, these jobs of the 21st century are going to go begging. If you don't have the capacity to at least read, it's going to be impossible for you, not totally impossible, nearly impossible to get the high-paying, high-productivity jobs that are now being created in America. Secondly, we need to make sure we get more math and science graduates. It's really important that we emphasize math, and besides literacy, math and science. We're going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. Because math and science programs will be necessary to make sure the skill level is good enough for these new jobs that are being created, that people will be able to fill those jobs as well. And so I've got a plan that provides federal grants to develop teaching programs. In other words, help schools develop effective math teaching programs. Thirdly, we need an adjunct teacher program to encourage professionals and experts from math and sciences to teach. In other words, once somebody's finished their career, or maybe he's looking for a career adjustment, to allow them and encourage them to get in the classroom to spread their skills. We need engineers teaching in high schools. We need scientists teaching in high schools. We need people who have been in the military that have had some engineering experience to come out and teach in high schools. And I'm asking Congress to pass a $40 million program to encourage the recruitment and training of such teachers. As well, we need to be raising that bar. We're going to talk about advanced placement here in a minute. Advanced placement programs are essential programs for challenging every child. We need to keep raising the standards. We got to constantly strive to set big goals so people are reaching for those goals and helping schools make sure that the programs work. Advanced placement I love the program. We're about to talk to an advanced placement teacher who I suspect loves it as well. but there are some difficulties. I think the federal government should be spending money to help train teachers to teach advanced placement. See, a lot of school districts say, well, I'm interested, but it just doesn't meet our needs right now. Well, it should meet the needs, and therefore there's federal money available for teacher training. And one other aspect, it costs $80 to take an advanced placement test. Now, that's high for a lot of families. Low-income families say, I'd rather spend my $80 somewhere else than taking a test. And there's a lot of missed opportunity. I think the federal government ought to help low-income students pay for the fee to take the AP test. I'm getting there. Our panelists are about to fall out, wondering, all right, as the old guy said, you're just not a potted plant. I think we ought to enhance Pell Grants for students who take rigorous academic courses. In other words, I say if you're taking a rigorous course load in high school and you qualify for Pell Grants, you ought to get an extra $1,000 on your Pell Grant. We're spending money at the Pell Grant, and Pell Grants are good things. We ought to use the Pell Grant system to encourage people to keep raising their sights. We're going to talk about ways to make sure the Perkins Act, which is the Vocational Training Act, work better. I mean, this act was passed in 1917. We spent $1 billion a year. The attitude has got to change from 1917. It has some, but as a part of the vocational training courses, there need to be a rigorous focus on English and math and science. We got to make sure that children have got, the skills that may be taught at the Perkins programs, but they need the basics too. And so in order to make sure the high school programs work all the way around, we need to reform the Perkins program. We're going to talk about the community college system. I'm a big believer in the community college system. Community college system is a way to community college systems are ways to help high school students achieve big goals. And we're going to talk about that. The community college systems are also important to taking older folks that have been in one field and training them for another field. I mean, we spend a lot of money at the federal level to make sure that we're able to match skills with jobs available. I mean, I think one of the stories I tell is I went to the Mesa Community College in Arizona, and I met a woman who had been a graphic design artist for over a decade. And she then went back to the community college, got help from the federal government, and got her associate degree. And in her entry-level job in a high-tech field, she made more in her first year than she had made in her last year. In other words, education will not only help somebody become employable, education will help somebody become more productive, which means higher wages, better job, better availability for work. And that's what we're going to talk about. So here we go. Big Tom, are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
He has got a program here called High Schools at Work. We're going to spend some time talking about that. It is a way to introduce a rigorous course schedule into the high school curriculum to challenge people. You may want to talk about that. You may want to not talk about that, but let her go.
We'll get into it. Mr. President, if there's one thing that I like to do, it's talk about Parkersburg South High School. And I can do it for a while, but I was told that I needed to keep it a little shorter, so I'll try and give you the Cliff Notes version. How's that? Parkersburg South High School is a 10 through 12 high school. We have approximately 1,200 students in our school. And I am pleased to say that last year we made AYP as part of the No Child Left Behind standards.
Tell everybody what AYP means. Sometimes we speak in initials in government.
Adequate yearly progress.
Meeting the standards.
Meeting the standards. We did that last year. But our staff, thank you. Our faculty and our staff, we understand that meeting it is one thing. Maintaining it is another. And, excuse me, we've set into place, as have as all schools in West Virginia have what we refer to as a Unified School Improvement Plan. And this USIP, as it is affectionately referred to, is a continuous plan of improvement. And a couple of years ago, one of the things that we did to gather some data, we went to West Virginia University. We talked to all of the freshmen who went to Wood County schools, and we asked them, what can we do in the school system to make you have a better transition into your freshman year of college? They really came back with two things. One was, make us take semester exams. Make us take comprehensive semester exams. And the second one was, make us write more. So one of the things that we've done is implement two goals that we work on a lot, and we work on them every day. One is critical thinking. Having the knowledge and the facts and the figures in your head is useless unless you can take that knowledge and apply it. So we work very hard on teaching our students to develop those skills and to use them for problem solving. The other thing that we're doing is we've implemented writing across the curriculum. I don't care what class you take, the teacher is working on something that's in writing. The days of the English teacher being the person to teach reading and writing in our schools is over. We speak English, therefore we should be able to write in English and read English proficiently, and everyone should, and I will agree with you on that point. So, every teacher at Parkersburg South High School teaches writing. We have a fantastic staff and faculty. They are dedicated. They work very hard at the development and the implementation of lesson plans so that we can meet our goals that are contained in our USIP. We have students who are respectful, who respect each other. They respect the teachers in their classroom. They come from good families. They respect, and they're taught respect in the home. We have a character education program in the state of West Virginia, and we've decided at Parkersburg South that the best thing we can do to teach character is to model good character. That's the best way to teach character.
Right. Good point.
We have...
Yeah, it's kind of hard to teach character if you don't live character.
That's absolutely right. We have number of opportunities for students at Parkersburg South High School. We have an extensive honors and AP program, and we have a full complement of special education classes to meet the needs of all students, regardless of what their special needs may be. We are involved in high schools that work, and I can give you a couple of statistics here. When we have been a high schools that work school since 1997. And the first figures of the students, career technical students who completed Algebra 2 in the year 2000 was at 59%. At the end of last year, that had jumped up to 83% of our students completing Algebra 2. Now, likewise, of career technical students taking physics, in 2000, 47% of our students had taken it. At the end of last year, it was up to 77%.
That's good, yeah.
So we're making some advances in math and science. Extracurricular activities, Mr. President, are a very important part of what we do as educators. It's in the extracurricular activities that our students learn the leadership skills, the self-discipline, and the teamwork that will make it, they're essential to going out into the workplace, getting a job, and being able to survive amongst other people while you do that. And we have a choir that just came back from D.C. a couple weeks ago that was nationally acclaimed, and band and drama, forensic, speech, debate, full complement. Athletics, very important part of our curriculum here. In last calendar year, Mr. President, Parkersburg South High School was crowned the state basketball champions,
there you go,
state girls soccer champions, and state football champions, all in one calendar year. We're proud of that. Now, I'm almost finished. Strong community support. Mr. President, we've got to have a community that backs the value of education and sees education as a necessity. And this community does just that. I grew up in this community. I went to Wood County schools, and in the 8th grade, I made the decision that I wanted to be a band director, and I made that decision because of the person that was standing in front of my classroom and the teachers that were in front of me. And so I know it sounds corny, but the opportunity to come back to your home county and contribute back what has been given to me is truly an honor, and I have appreciated all the opportunities that I've gotten.
That doesn't sound corny at all.
Well, that's the way I feel. We've got a strong business partnership relationship. Parkersburg South High School is affiliated with GE Plastics and CAS, which is a local cable system. And I guess to sum up all of my comments, Parkersburg South High School provides a total package. I think we're a total package, and I think that the students who attend Parkersburg South High School are fortunate, and I tell them on a regular basis. You know, my philosophy is I expect my teachers to teach, I expect my students to learn, and I believe a number of my students could answer that question if you asked them in the hallway, and I believe on a daily basis that's what's happening at Parkersburg South, teaching and learning.
Good job.
Thank you.
That's why you're no longer the band director.
I was pretty good at that too,
Right.
though.
Where were you, the tuba?
I'm a sax player.
Sax player, right? Dr. Becky Daniel is with us. She is a AP English teacher. First, Becky's been teaching for 29 years, which is a great credit to you to be in the classroom for that long. You might want to tell people about the advanced placement program. I suspect some people don't even know what we're talking about. Why it's important, how you got into it. Let her go. Thanks for coming.
The advanced placement program is something that I'm very fond of. You're absolutely right when you said that I would say I loved it too, and I do. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for students to really achieve on all kinds of levels. I teach advanced placement here at Parkersburg South, and I've done that for about 13 years. And in those 13 years, many students have gained college credit through taking the class. And that's what advanced placement offers as its #1 prize. That if you take the high school class and are successful in it, then you can go on to college and have college credit to take with you from the high school class. My students just took the exams last week in English, literature, and language, and I'm sure that they did very well and that the majority of them will get credit. Yesterday,
state over the last 10 years has gained twice the national rate. In other words, you've gained twice the national rate. The second telling fact about West Virginia is that every student who enrolls in grade 9, 82 finish high school 4 years later. Now, we still want that to be higher, but that's the best of any 16 SREB states.
Now, let me stop you there. Nationally, only 68% of the children who start from the 9th grade will graduate from high school on time. So West Virginia is doing really well.
Let me tell you one of the reasons you're doing well. Over the last decade and a half, you've maintained very strong county technical centers, and you've linked those with rigorous academic studies. We have a group of youth in America who must see a reason for physics and chemistry, and by linking these two together, and many of those technical centers are located to a community college. Like I believe at this high school, you have 169 students who will graduate this year who will earn both high school and post-secondary credit in current technical subjects. And Mr. President, your announcement earlier this week about the administration's view of the new Carl Perkins legislation, I think you offer the potential of taking what many of us have been working on almost 2 decades now to a national scale. There are a couple of points I like in your announcement I'd like just to highlight.
Skip the ones you don't like.
I will. I'll save those till later. I think your idea of trying to start in high school with solid career studies linked to further learning and to post-secondary that can lead to associate degree, a bachelor's degree, apprenticeship program, employer exam. I also like the idea of states setting performance goals that annually more youth will finish Algebra 2, chemistry and physics. You can't do that overnight. You have to do it incrementally. And I think that's going to result in this kind of outcome for our country. It'll increase the number of graduates who I would call technical literate. They can read technical materials which are very complex, written at the 14th, 16th, and 18th grade level. They can use mathematics to solve the kind of problems they're going to increasingly encounter in the modern workplace. They can understand the science concepts that undergirds today's technology. But they can also use technology to make things, design things, to create things and produce. And I think what you're laying out can help that 68% who are not finishing high school. We've just looked at 13 high schools in Georgia that both raise achievement and kept youngsters in school. And one of the things we found, they had linked higher level academics with quality career and technical studies both in high school and to their technical colleges. It is a way to motivate an awful lot of youth to see a reason for school. We forget sometimes that many Americans are very practically oriented folks. They want to see education for a purpose. So I commend you for the proposal you set forth, Mr. President.
Thanks for coming. Good job. We got Joe Badgley with us. He is the Dean of Academic Affairs. He's still the interim president? Still the interim president, although he named his successor yesterday or today?
My successor was named yesterday.
Yeah, we got you coming and going. Anyway, thanks for coming. He is at West Virginia University at Parkersburg. And tell us about the program you got here. Just let her go.
Thank you, Mr. President. My institution has a very long history of close cooperation with public schools. And it's appropriate that we're here today at Parkersburg South High School because it was here 27 years ago that we first delivered early admissions college courses for high school students. We started that year with 2 courses, one in English and one in history. A small number of students enrolled in each one. Last year we served over 900 students in 52 different courses at 9 high schools in our service region.
That's fantastic. Good job. So what does that mean for a mom or a dad, or what does it mean for the student when that happens?
Well, one of the great things about the program is that many of the high schools choose to give graduation credit so that the students are earning credits toward graduation from high school at the same time they're earning college credit, which is why the program is often referred to as dual credit.
Yeah.
And it's important to note that those courses are delivered at deeply discounted tuition rates, which means that students can graduate from high school with as much as a semester of college work completed at a substantial savings to themselves and to their families.
Yeah, that's a really smart idea. How hard is it for the high school students? I mean, if somebody's sitting out there listening, say, gosh, I may want to get my child who's a sophomore in high school to think about this. Is it a steep hill to climb, or is it obviously if 900 kids are going, they've had pretty good success passing the courses.
It's a very popular program, and the program is open to high school juniors and seniors who have a 2.8 grade point average and the recommendation of their principal or their counselor to participate in the program.
Yeah, that's neat. What are you doing for worker training? Can you share some of the ideas with the citizens here in this community about why you're important and useful and necessary?
Well, there's another interesting relationship between WVU Parkersburg and the Wood County Schools. Situated on the campus of WVUP is the Caperton Center for Applied Technology. This is a facility that is owned both by the high school and by WVUP. Students who are enrolled in career clusters in drafting or engineering technology can complete both high school and college credit, making a seamless transition from high school to college. And the programs are designed in cooperation with business, industry, and labor in the Valley. We offer 15 associate and applied science degree programs that are designed to get people into the workforce quickly with the skills and knowledge that they need to perform the jobs that are out there today. Each of those programs has a community advisory board made up of experts in the area to make sure that the programs stay current, that the students who graduate from those programs have the skills that are needed by the employers in West Virginia.
Yeah, see, I like to tell people the community college systems are available, affordable, and they're flexible. In other words, they're able to change their curriculum in order to meet the needs of the job requirements, of the job needs here. And it's a really good asset. And the thing that's so impressive about the utilization of this good asset is they hooked up with the high schools here. So people got all kinds of opportunities. Listen, I hope you're as optimistic about the future of the country as I am. You just heard some, I think, incredibly positive news about your community. You've got people who are raising the bar. people who are making sure that the course load is relevant to the jobs of the 21st century, people who are using the asset base, the education asset base, in a wise way to make sure that every child has got an opportunity to realize the great promise of the country. We live in the most fabulous nation on the face of the earth, and one of the reasons why is because we're a nation... We're a nation that believes in the worth of every person, regardless of their background. We're a nation that believes in the potential of every person. We want every child to learn to read, write, and add and subtract. We want every child to have the curriculum necessary to be able to realize his or her dreams. That's what we want in America. We're also a great nation because we've got fantastic values. And one of the values we hold dear is the value of freedom. We love our freedom. We understand our freedom. We will never relinquish our freedom. Thank you all for coming. May God bless.